Welcome to Sort of Off Topic. This is my beautiful and talented and very smart friend named Max, and you better fucking respect her.
And this is Janey, my non-romantic life partner, who I would kill or die for 1,000 times over. And if you can't respect her, then you can't respect me, and if you can't respect me, you better get ready for a knuckle sandwich, baby.
Hello, and welcome
To Sort of
Off Topic. Yeah, we're going off book today.
Again.
Again! This is the Off Topic series where one of us, me today, tells you what we've been thinking about a lot that week.
A topic, not like an emotional vibe.
I've just been thinking that sometimes the darkness is closing in. And we think that's funny. This is the podcast where sometimes something pops into your head and you can't stop thinking about it, and then you go into a deep dive research hole, which I'm sure happens to everyone. Happens to me a lot. I saw a video on TikTok, Max.
You did?
I'm Janey, and that's Max. We got it. I saw a video on TikTok about what I'm going to talk to you about, and then I started deep dive researching it because it was like a 1.5 minute long video with some animations, but it didn't give me all of the details that I wanted. I was like, this is such a good video, but like, I'm sure there is more about this. And then I was like an hour into just fully like blinders on. I had like 17 tabs open. I was like, this is fantastic. I was finding all this stuff. And then I realized I had done all my research for an off topic without realizing. So then I just started putting those things into source notes. I had to go back and write out my script because I was very interested.
Nice.
That's how this thing came to be.
I love it.
Yeah. And if that's not the nature of the off topics or the purpose of them, then I don't know what is.
I generally have the opposite experience.
Mm-hmm.
Where I have something that I'm like, I really like the most basic understanding that I have of this thing. I should probably know more, but at the same time, who has the time? And then I force myself to sit down for 6 hours and have the time to learn about it, and then sit down for an additional 3 hours and record it.
Yeah. Not me, but I'm not worried about pesky accuracy. As we know. Well, before we begin, if you want extra episodes of our regular podcast, you can join us on the Patreon. For $3, you can get on our Discord, and for $7, you get those bonus episodes. You get episodes a day early, and we talk to you about things like the off topics and stuff. You can chat with us a lot more, and it's a fun community. So go to our Patreon in our show notes. Max, how did I do on that? Did that throw you off that I didn't throw it to you?
No, I'll give that 8.5 out of 100.
Wow, I'm gonna go fucking jump off a building. Okay, well, are you ready to know what I've been fixating on this week?
I am.
Okay.
Why don't you just freaking tell me about it, huh?
I'm going to.
Good.
This is for you.
Hey, how about you freaking tell me about it?
It's a map of the United States.
Sure.
Okay.
I am looking at a map of the United States.
Yeah, it's a very basic map. It's from Wikipedia. We are going to be talking about, let's make some room on this.
What?
Literally something that...
I have two things on this table and you're moving both of them.
I know. Okay, we're talking about the Oklahoma Panhandle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the part of Oklahoma that looks like the handle of a pan.
Yeah, it's a panhandle. There's a couple panhandles in the United States, and Oklahoma, I think, is the panhandliest. Have you ever wondered why Oklahoma has that panhandle? I ask you.
I assume gerrymandering.
No, it's not. Just above Texas, to the left of Oklahoma, I guess to the west of Oklahoma, there is a 168 by 34 mile wide strip of land, and it is known as the Oklahoma Panhandle. In 1820, the U.S. had 22 states. 11 were free states in the north, and 11 of them were slave states in the south. And so there was a balance, right? Like, it wasn't great. Nobody could agree on things, but there was 11 and 11. But after Missouri was obtained through the Louisiana Purchase, it wanted to enter the Union as a slave state, which would call that balance into question, because then they would have 12 slave states and 11 free states. And of course, all the people in the north were like, no fucking way. Mm-hmm. That's not how this works. Because right now, the only reason why we're not fucking killing like each other is because of this balance. Many people argued that Congress shouldn't have the right to spread or limit slavery in the states at all. Northerners wanted to abolish slavery, pretty much, right? There was like just a lot of people who were like, abolish it completely. There were a lot of Northerners that were like, we shouldn't have any more slavery. But for the most part, that's where it was. And Southerners wanted something called popular sovereignty, which means that the state should have the right to decide if they wanted slaves or not. Because they knew if there was any question about it in the South, they would just decide to have slaves. Right? So Congress decided that the best thing to do in this situation would be to compromise. Missouri could be admitted as a slave state, but Maine would be admitted as a free state, meaning the flag now had 24 stars and the balance was restored because now it's 12 and 12. The second part of the compromise, the Missouri Compromise, banned slavery in the remaining part of the Louisiana Purchase territories, north of latitude line 3630. So that's this top part where the Panhandle is. Okay. In 1821, the land transferred from Spain to independent Mexico. So we now had this entire area where Texas is and a lot of New Mexico's like that. All of a sudden, now it's part of Mexico. Spain gives it away. I don't think it's giving away, but I don't have time going into another war. So now it's part of Mexico. The Republic of Texas claimed the land when it became independent in 1836. However, Texas was too tall. Once it became Texas, it was part of the United States now. It was too tall, and in order to comply with the Missouri Compromise, they had to give up the top part of their land to Oklahoma. Then, in 1854, the Kansas-Nebraska Act repealed the Missouri Compromise and allowed Kansas and Nebraska to decide whether or not they wanted to be slave states. Okay? I have to set up why we have this, because before, it wasn't part of anything except for Texas. Texas was just extra tall, and then they had to get a little shorter. They had to give themselves a haircut. And we started having, like, some transfer of power and stuff like that. Now, okay, Missouri Compromise had fixed things, and now Nebraska and Kansas are about to fuck everything up. During the Kansas-Nebraska Act, okay, now they can decide, do we want to be a slave state or not? Never a problem from Nebraska. Nebraska is very far north, and they were always going to be a free state. Kansas, however, is right next to Missouri, and they wanted to be a slave state. There was a huge fight over this. This caused this huge fight to break out in Kansas between pro-slavers, free staters, and abolitionists, which would last for years. And it was so bad, this period of time became known as Bleeding Kansas.
I know about this.
Do you know about this? I've never heard about it.
I do.
I grew up in Missouri. We did not talk about Bleeding Kansas.
I know about this because we did this as a section in U.S. history, and I had a brief and torrid romance with someone online from Kansas.
Oh, what?
I was in 11th grade. I was in 10th grade.
That's hot as hell. What is it? No, because everyone in Kansas is a garbage corn person. Come for me, Kansas.
Damn. He had a really deep voice and played guitar, and we used to just hang out on Skype and talk about our favorite YouTubers. It was a simpler time. Wow. And then he told me that he had a girlfriend, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that's how it is. All right. And then I got a boyfriend, and then he was like, I'm gonna fucking kill myself.
Whoa! Oh no. Just so you know, I was joking about Kansas, but that is fucked up. Well, so Max knows what Bleeding Kansas is.
I had to field suicide threats at a Thai restaurant with my dad on Facebook Messenger.
Oh, did your dad help?
No.
Oh. Yeah, he doesn't seem like he'd be helpful.
No.
Okay. During this Bleeding Kansas period, murder, mayhem, and psychological warfare ran rampant in eastern Kansas and western Missouri. Everybody's acting real bad. They're naughty.
Sure.
For example, this is something that you definitely know about. On May 21st, 1856, a group of pro-slavery men entered Lawrence, which was a Free State stronghold, and they burned the Free State Hotel to the ground, and they destroyed 2 printing presses and ransacked homes and stores. They're just causing some mischief in the name of keeping slaves. In retaliation, abolitionist rock star John Brown, which we know all about him, led a group of men. John Brown.
We're just going to round of applause.
Yeah, honestly,
for John Brown.
Take a fucking moment. I was really excited to see him pop up. John Brown led a group of men on an attack at Pottawatomie Creek. The group, which included 4 of Brown's sons, dragged 5 pro-slavery men from their homes and hacked them to death. They were like, you burned down our city, so we're just going to cut you into little pieces and mail you across the United States.
They threw my printing press into the river.
But go tell your little jokes. Okay, so that was during this Bleeding Kansas. Later on, John Brown would take his group to Harper's Ferry, which was in Virginia, and he was going to seize the U.S. arsenal and initiate a slave revolt. John Brown and his group of 22 were overtaken by the U.S. Marines, and he and his sons were executed. And I only mention this because it's a cool part of history. It's not what we're going to talk about today. But the book Fire on the Mountain by Terry Bisson? Bisson? B-I-S-S-O-N. Terry
Bichon.
Anyway, it's a sci-fi alternative history novel that explores the question, what would America look like if John Brown had been successful at Harper's Ferry? And it is really cool. It's just like a Black Utopia novel, and it's split between 3 different time periods, and so you get to see history, basically, and the future. That's and also cool. Mars is involved.
Oh.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
I've been to Harper's Ferry many times, and it's very cool.
What does it look like? What's in Harper's Ferry? The arsenal?
It's like a big mill, kind of. It's in a gully. I was very small, so this may not be accurate.
You're like, it was so cool. You could sit on anybody's lap.
Yeah, it's like a big mill, and it's like it's in the middle of this like a gully kind of. Mm-hmm. So there's like mountains on either side, cliffs on either side, and then there is this big like mill wheel, like a water wheel, and then we got to see all of the old armaments and everything. And our tour guide was like, "Can I get a volunteer?" And everyone in my like 4th grade class was like, "Me." And he was like, "Great, I'm going to shoot someone out of the cannon." And everyone was like, "No." And he's like, "You don't volunteer until you know what you're volunteering for."
Okay, that wouldn't work today. I know my 4th graders, and they would be so excited to be shot out of a cannon. They would be like, "We are not volunteering until you promise you're going to shoot us out of the cannon."
Yeah, but they had all these like cast iron cannons and everything like that. It was super cool.
Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, this is John Brown, Bleeding Kansas. Bleeding Kansas would last until 1861, when Kansas finally entered the Union as a free state. So, no slaves in Kansas. So now, Texas is under the 36th parallel. Okay, remember this, the 36-30 compromise, and Texas is like 36.5. And so they have to give 0.5 of their land away. So they're forced to give that top part of their land over. The Kansas-Nebraska Act has established their land just north of the 37 parallel, meaning there's still that 0.5 parallel in between that nobody has any claim over because of the way that these compromises and these acts have structured the land. Mm-hmm. So now there is a 34-mile gap between Texas and Kansas. I know this is a history lesson, but this sets up something really cool. From 1850 to 1890, 40 years. Mm-hmm. That's math. Okay.
You mathed it.
Thank you. No one had any claim on that strip of land, which was bordered by Texas at the bottom, Colorado and Kansas at the top, New Mexico in the west, and Oklahoma in the east. It was just this rectangle of land that didn't belong to any state, had no laws, and no rules. And they called it no man's land.
I want to be there.
You really don't. Actually, you might, actually.
I claim no man's land for...
no man's land, but Max's
women.
Lands. The term that they use, somebody wrote it down, and I forget who wrote it. It might have just been somebody like quoted in like a newspaper, but they said, it's God's land, but no man's. Now, here's an important note before I begin with no man's land, okay? And this is the thing that nobody ever seems to fucking mention, so I'm going to mention it. This is what I was looking for when I saw the TikTok. This land did have men on it. Primarily, it was Comanche territory. But many of the nomadic Native American tribes that crossed this area of land, they were following buffalo herds, right? That's like any of like the Plains Indians, that's what they were doing, including like the Sioux up in the north and stuff like that, which is my dad's tribe. So they were constantly going back and forth. They relied on this land, and it had been basically empty forever until suddenly it's unclaimed and everybody decides they want to go stake a claim. Okay. It kind of started to attract a bunch of seedy people.
Oh no, I'm a colonizer.
Oh no, Max! In 1874, the U.S. Army launched the Red River War.
Christ.
Yep.
Is it red because they gave everyone cherry Kool-Aid?
Sure hope so. I'm allergic to cherry. That would kill me. Their goal was to displace the Comanche, Kiowa, Southern Cheyenne, and Arapaho Native American tribes from the Southern Plains and force them onto reservations. The U.S. Army decided after like having these like physical wars with them and like actually going back there, and like nobody was really dying on either side. It was just like a constant use of resources, basically. They decided to start hunting buffalo in 1870. The US Army specifically, they weren't even fucking using the buffalo, they were just killing them because they wanted to attack the main food source of the native people. And then in this time period, a new way to tan buffalo hides was invented, and it all but commercialized tanned buffalo hides. And white people began overhunting the lands until they were basically extinct by 1878. In 8 years. In 8 years, they basically wiped out the entire buffalo population. So, after harassing and capturing as many native bands as they could, eventually the natives didn't have the strength or supplies to remain in the field, and in mid-1875, the last significantly sized Comanche band surrendered, marking the end of the free-roaming native populations on the southern Great Plains. So that's what's happening here. And now, officially, it's no man's land again. Woo! Now nobody's there! They called it no man's land and then chased away all the men that were there.
You've seen Lord of the Rings, right?
Yeah.
You're just not the biggest fan?
I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings. I'm just not a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, you know?
Have you seen in the third one where there's like this monster and he's like, no man can kill me. And then the soldier that he's up against takes off their helmet and it's one of the female main characters and she's like, I am no man, and just fucking stabs him in the face. Yeah, that's what I picture happening nonstop in No Man's Land.
That's what's happening all the time. You're right. You don't even need to finish this. You got it. That was, I think, one of the coolest moments in cinema.
Oh god, it really was
pretty good. Okay.
I don't even like Eowyn. She kind of sucks other than that.
So now, there really is no one there to fight for the land, and there are literally no laws governing no man's land, so the worst of the worst types of frontiersmen begin to descend. At first, it's mostly cowboys, and cattlemen. Because every article said it differently, and I was like, aren't cowboys just cattlemen? Is there an age thing? Like, what is it?
I think cowboy is like, for some people, especially for like the Hispanic populations of the area, that was kind of a demeaning term that they used, where they were like,
are you basing that off of The Mediator? I don't think he wanted to be called a cowboy because cowboys were mostly, because I know they were like black cowboys and there were also cowgirls, so there's like a whole population, but I think they were mostly white men who were like willing to kill Native Americans to like have land. Cattlemen, I think, were just people who owned a lot of cattle, but those are cows. So I don't know the difference. If you're a cowboy or a cattleman, reach out.
Or a cowgirl.
Don't you dare reach out.
Hey, what's up? If you're a cowgirl, our email is sortofthestory@gmail.com, and my personal number is...
You should be with a cowgirl.
Thanks, man.
Okay, so at first it was mostly all those cowboys and cowmen looking for land for their cows to graze and willing to fight and die for that sweet, sweet grass. Settlers began to come as well, looking for their own place in the sun, and there were so many fights over land that in 1862 they had to pass a Homestead Act. Even though there's no laws, they had to like divide the land into like townships just to stop people from killing themselves and each other on this land. Mm-hmm. And more people gravitated to no man's land, enticed by the empty spaces and the lack of laws. In particular, people from Kansas were interested in getting drunk. Kansas banned the sale and production of alcohol in 1881. So they were under prohibition long before a lot of, like, I think they were the first state in the Union to adopt prohibition. So a little town just across the border in no man's land popped up, and it was named Beer City. Beer City never had any schools.
We built this city.
We built this city on Miller's Lie. Beer City never had any schools, churches, or post offices. It had saloons and dance halls. That's all it had.
And one big water tower full of beer. And a really long straw that came down from the water tower. And you bought time. The way that when you fill up your tires.
Sure.
At one of those air things at the gas station, you buy time. So you would have to buy time at the beer straw. 5 cents.
And it wasn't just a straw. It connected to a silly hat.
You You got to put on the hat.
Yeah.
Drink from the straw. The straw goes all the way up into the water tower full of beer.
Yeah.
And you get to wear the hat, and you get to have your picture taken. That's not included, though. If you want a copy, that's $5.
And then you bring
and that is the cost of an entire house at the time.
Yes. But it comes with a t-shirt with your picture on it, and it says, "My dad went to Beer City, and all I got was this lousy t-shirt." Okay. That's all true. So, skipping that paragraph. Sex workers would travel to Beer City from Dodge City and Wichita regularly. There was this constant train that would go back and forth from Beer City back to Kansas. The saloons in Beer City had names like Elephant and the Yellow Snake.
Oh.
Yeah. And they advertised
Animals?
themselves. Yeah, I guess. Just animal names. They advertised themselves as the only place, quote, in the civilized world where there is absolutely no law, which makes it pretty uncivilized.
Mm-hmm.
The saloons staged dances, horse races, boxing, and wrestling matches, and Wild West shows to keep their customers entertained. They even had drunk pens, and I think this is pretty cool. So basically, they're wire enclosures where if a cowboy passed out, they would drag his body into the drunk pen and then basically lock him in there and then let him sleep there until he woke up the next morning, because otherwise he would get robbed and probably killed. So they'd be like,
Aww.
"Oh, yep, nope, in the drunk pen." Now nobody can rob him.
I was picturing a cage fight scenario, and I was like, oh no, they shouldn't do that. But no, it's not that.
It's a pretty cool system. This is like the Wild West version of calling an Uber. But they can't do that, so they just put you in a cage.
Aw.
It's nice. There were lots of stories coming out of Beer City that made the rest of the Wild West seem pretty tame. For example, Pussycat Nell, the madam of the establishment above the Yellow Snake Saloon, shot the town marshal dead one day.
Oh.
No one knows why.
For fun.
Honestly, it could have just been for fun. But she shot him dead and was like, "I did it and I'd do it again." And people were like, "All right, well, I'm gonna throw his body out there."
That's against the, wait a minute.
There's no laws. She ran an important establishment in Beer City, and no one really missed that marshal much anyway, and so they just didn't care. They logged it down as something weird happened today. Kept going. Distilleries began to pop up. Some of them were extremely questionable, but a few of them were very reputable. One of the expert distillers of moonshine was brought from Kentucky, which is how you know he was good at making moonshine. He would boil peaches and add the juice into his liquor, producing, quote, a beautiful amber-colored and fancy-flavored drink.
Oh, like a peach schnapps kind of deal.
Yeah. Soon, some of the residents of No Man's Land form a tiny government, and they tried to petition Washington, D.C. to make them a territory, because they were like, we would like to be part of the Union, kind of. They called their land Chimeran territory because they thought Beer City was a little bit too wild for the bigwigs. So they're like, Chimeran, that's what we are. They even sent some representatives to Washington, D.C., and they made a few allies in Congress, and people were like, maybe we should give them statehood. Maybe we should make them a recognizable part of anything. They were discussing that. We almost had a Beer City as one of our states.
I wish I want the state of Party City. That's what I want.
The state of the Halloween store.
Spirit Halloween.
Spirit Hall. Yeah, we have the state of Spirit Halloween, but it's only a state for a 1 month out of the year.
The rest of the time,
and it moves around. Yeah, and it moves around to different states, so you just never know where Halloween state is going to pop up. Meanwhile, life was getting really tough there. Wheat prices weren't high enough for farmers to make a living, there was a drought in 1888 that devastated the crops, and beef and buffalo bones were getting scarcer and scarcer because they were basically extinct, and as were the buffalo chips, which were a staple source of fuel.
Is that
poop? It's poop.
Yeah, okay.
It sounds better if you say buffalo chips. Sounds delicious.
Sounds like they're stealing tortilla chips from some buffalo.
Buffaloes are like, no!
I was eating those.
Now what are we going to dip into our salsa? There was a rhyme that they had at this time, and it was picking up bones to keep from starving, picking up chips to keep from freezing, picking up courage to keep from leaving, way out west in no man's land.
That's a good song.
It's pretty good, right? Okay, so one family recalled that they had, in this time, planted 50 acres of corn, but when it came time to harvest, they only had enough for one meal.
Oh.
Yeah. So farmers began to leave no man's land for greener pastures. They just could not survive out there. Criminals also started to leave because no one had any money. So, crime wasn't paying. They would go to rob someone and then just have nothing. And
then they would both just turn out their empty pockets and be like, oh, man.
It was no fun. In a very short amount of time, the population went from 12,000 to 3,000. One guy said, and we had to count in some prairie dogs and jackrabbits to get that number.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
They're the mayor.
Yeah.
The first form of government in no man's land is the mayor, and he's a prairie dog.
He's the mayor of Beer City. He's just one single prairie dog that pops up and goes, no, still crime.
He just runs up and bites a baby, and they're like, "Aw, that's the mayor."
He just starts throwing bottles of champagne at ships. Aw, our mischievous little mayor.
Where's he finding ships?
Where's he finding champagne bottles? In Beer City. Okay, so finally, what?
They might have been drinking the champagne of beers.
Oh! Miller's.
Miller High Life.
Miller High Life, that's it. My brain was like, Michelob. Not the champagne of anything.
Michelob Ultra Infusion Slime and Prickly Pear Cactus.
The champagne of no man's land. Finally, the U.S. government made a decision about no man's land. Okay? They had been mulling it over. Are we going to make it a territory? Are we going to give it laws? Who knows? Instead of making it a territory on its own, they know. They don't do that. Something called the Oklahoma Organic Act of 1890 absorbed it into the new Oklahoma Territory. So things looked up once Oklahoma absorbed that land. Because now they had a panhandle. Now, Oklahoma hadn't been a state before, I don't think. And so now it's Oklahoma plus this, panhandle. There were laws now, and tough judges, and deputy marshals. And they all came down to no man's land to crack down on the crime. One of those marshals was a Danish man named Chris Madsen.
Mm.
Have you ever heard of Chris Madsen? He's pretty intense. Madsen was famous for being one of the 3 guardsmen.
Of the apocalypse?
Basically. The name was given to him, Bill Tillman, and Heck Thomas.
Heck.
Heck. They were responsible for the apprehension and or killing of over 300 outlaws in the area. They were
and at least 6 in-laws.
The 3 lawmen were primarily responsible for bringing down the outlaw Bill Doolin and the Doolin-Dalton gang.
Those sons of bitches.
I literally copied and pasted this from Wikipedia, but I couldn't not because I like all the names. Madsen was personally accountable for the killings of Doolin gang members Dan Dynamite Dick Clifton.
Oh, not Doolin?
George Red Buck Waitman, and Richard Little Dick West. Dynamite Dick and Little Dick. Reporting for duty. Do you think that people were those definitely count for sure, Madsen. We're gonna count them, but they're silly, so we don't take you seriously. Okay, so this man who is famous for being ruthless and taking down outlaws and bad cowboys. Those are outlaws, I guess. Mm-hmm. Evil cowboys.
Sure.
He comes down to this area to clean it up. So I'm going to end on a paragraph, the last paragraph from a history.net article on the Panhandle. Okay. Because I really liked it. In Beaver City, which was one of the largest towns formed in no man's land, besides Beer City.
That sounds like that could get confusing really quickly.
Mm-hmm. District court was held in a room above a saloon, and on occasion, the uproar downstairs interfered with the dignity of the proceedings upstairs. So on one such occasion, the judge turned quietly to Madsen, who was traveling with the court, and ordered him to abate the noise beneath. He's like, hey, go quiet them down. We're trying to do business. So Chris Madsen went downstairs, and he encountered 3 would-be badmen. Badmen, one word, badmen.
Badman.
Mm-hmm. Who paid no attention to the Danes' reasonable requests for a little peace and quiet. So Madsen turned to direct action, shooting one man through the hand and pistol whipping the other 2 in basically one move. Judge, said Madsen, returning to the courtroom. This isn't an accent. Your rebellion is over now. What disposition shall I make of the prisoners? Real law had come to no man's land. The end. That's no man's land. That's a little history of no man's land. And the Oklahoma Panhandle.
Pretty wild.
Pretty weird, right? Just, for the longest time, this was just a square. What got me... that's not as interesting.
It's a square and a rectangle.
Okay, that's not what was interesting to me. In the TikTok, the way that they had the visuals, they had like these graphics up. They had the slave states as red, right? So it was like Texas down here was all red, and like Missouri was red, and Arkansas. Like, so all of these places were all in red. And they had the free states in blue. So right above was like Kansas and all this stuff. And then in the middle of all of these like colored states, there was just this gray little rectangle, and they were like, Beer City. There was just like a little beer emoji pasted in the middle of it. And I was like, I have to know more. I need to know more. I just really like the idea that there was once a place in the United States that had no laws, and they were really bad at existing because of it.
Doesn't sound like they were that bad.
None of the farmers, like nobody was making any money. They were all leaving.
Well, yeah, because I mean, that's a lot of people packed into a very small area. And,
no, there was like basically nobody.
Well, but like if the land isn't, you know, good for crops, then you're just kind of fucked.
You know what it was good for?
What are you going to do? Go to fucking Kansas?
What sucks is that it was good for buffalo grazing. It had been taken care of by the, like, native people for like thousands of years.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then in 8 years, they depleted that and like wiped out the native populations. And then they formed something called fucking Beer City. Like, what frat?
Don't make me feel
frat boy pieces of shit. That's like, that's the most white fraternity I have ever heard.
Don't make me feel conflicted about Beer City. Let me have this one good thing.
So I do have sources. All of my sources are in the show notes. There's a lot of them, but I am going to pull them up to see if I can really quickly do my due diligence, which I don't always do.
Do.
I did say do a couple times. That's my bad, Max.
That is your bad.
I'm sorry.
Good.
Oh, good news. You've been selected to be one of the first few to test new AI features in Google Workspace. I'm tired of AI.
My house.
I'm tired of it. There's a new trend on TikTok lives where people pretend that they are AI and they just wiggle and like not move their heads, and they stay on for like 5 hours at a time just doing that and act. It's called the NPC trend, and they make like $700 per life because people just pay them to do that.
That's stupid.
Really bad, right?
That's bleak.
Okay, so my sources are one TikTok, and I don't have the name of it, but it is linked below. There's an article from National Geographic on the Missouri Compromise. There is a YouTube, there's a history.com YouTube video that is a 2-minute video. It talks about the Missouri Compromise, and it is genuinely wonderful, very informative. I opened it up and was like, ha! My friend Paul Audiero, author of Shit Rough Drafts, if you guys have ever read that, it was a big thing back. It was like a Tumblr thing and then became a book. It's his book. But it was just him telling me about the Missouri Compromise, and I haven't seen him in 6 years. So apparently when we like went our separate ways, he went off to like make an educational video, and now I'm reaping the benefits. Ooh. I really hope that sounded like reaping and not raping.
It did, but it was close.
I'm really bad at accents. I also have I have a bunch of things. There is a National Park Service article on Bleeding Kansas, a stain on Kansas history. And I have linked Fire on the Mountain and a bunch of stuff about Red River War and all this stuff. So all of that is on the show notes. I will say, I had a hard time. This is the first time I was like, ooh, these are not history. These are biased. I realize that a lot of these articles can be super biased about things happening in the 1820s because so many things called John Brown an anti-slavery fanatic was one of the terms used. Or
I should sure fucking hope so.
Yeah, they were like,
that's a good thing to be.
Yes. And they were like, so like this crazed abolitionist was another one. And I was like, the terminology here, like I know exactly who was writing this article in the 2000s. Like, Jesus Christ, are we still doing, have we not agreed that he's a fucking hero and everybody who was engaging in slavery deserved to be hacked to death? Because I'm going to go ahead and go on record by saying that's a good thing, actually.
That's a good thing,
He was the only one making any actual goddamn progress.
Yeah, I had a similar experience where in elementary school when we went to Harper's Ferry, they were like, yeah, he was just this crazy guy who, you know, he had a good cause, but he probably shouldn't have done it the way that he did. And then I got to high school and they were like, no, he was right.
See, I didn't go. I went to school in Missouri, so they never taught John Brown. They would never teach John Brown. Oh my God, can you imagine? No, it would never be a thing. They don't want anybody to know about that.
Good boy.
in Missouri, they're still teaching people that the Civil War was about popular sovereignty. It's about states' rights. And if you ask them, states' rights to do what? They're like, how dare you? How dare I what?
Sounds like states might be wrongs.
What's crazy is there are certain things.
You have to laugh at my joke.
No.
It sounds like states might be wrongs. Thank you.
What's crazy to me is there are some things that are like gotcha arguments, you know?
Mm-hmm.
For example, people talk about like, when talking about like transgender people, when they're like, you know what? When they dig up your bones in 200 years, then they're gonna call you, the sex that you were born with. So, and people are like, that's not a good argument.
It's also not true.
Because we find trans skeletons all the fucking time. Archaeologists always find those, and they are marked as such.
Yeah, and also, it's not...
And also there's not a lot of, like, there are a lot of, like, okay, we're not gonna go into it. Yeah. That being said, so that's one of the gotcha arguments that is a stupid one, right? Because it is disproven constantly. Just by basic fucking history and archaeology, you can fucking do one Google search. Even a single one. But the argument of saying states' rights and then saying states' rights to do what is not a gotcha argument. It's literally just a answer the rest of your question. You started something, now finish the sentence.
Yeah.
It's not a gotcha argument. You can't, that's what it was. States' rights to choose. To choose what?
Also,
states' rights to leave the union. Okay, what for? Finish the sentence. That's all I'm asking you to do.
100%. It's like, it's also the idea of like toning it down to being like, it was a war about states' rights. It's like, oh, sorry. So it was a war about whether property tax should be 0.7 or 0.8%. No, it fucking wasn't. Mm-mm. We wouldn't have had a war about that. We would have had a discussion.
Yeah, not a thing.
No, it was a war because it was something that some people found morally repugnant and some people found financially necessary and were morally okay with. And those people were bad. And
I also think that was also part of the reason why when I was doing this, I was like, I've never actually studied something like the Missouri Compromise, which is the Civil War could have happened at this point. This could have been the Civil War in 1820. And it's important to know that that's what started everything. 1820, when Missouri was like, I want to come in as a slave state and upset the balance, that was what started all of these huge arguments. Because up till then, they were kind of just like, there was a status quo that everybody was following. And this is where the Civil War started. And so saying like, no, the Civil War was about states' rights. And it's like, cool, go back to the fucking Missouri Compromise, which was about a slave state entering the Union and making it 12-11. And then go to the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which then knocked out that balance again, and then Bleeding Kansas happened. And by the time you get up to 1865, a Civil War has started, and it didn't start out of nowhere. It didn't just start in 1865. It had been going on for decades over slavery. God damn it, read a goddamn book.
God damn it.
Fictional people who aren't listening to this podcast because you don't like to hear women talk.
Watch a goddamn History Channel YouTube video, you
snowflake.
Goombas.
You say Goomba?
Goomba.
What's a Goomba? Did you make that up?
No.
What is that?
Something Italian people call idiots. Well,
there you have it.
Listen, if you like slavery, you're a fucking Goomba.
You are a Goomba. I'm gonna laugh so hard if that turns out to be some weird derogatory or it's like
God,
sexual thing.
Please, no.
Let us know.
I'm so tired.
Okay, so that was a rant I wasn't expecting to get into, but also this just, you know what? Fucking read a book. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us on this off topic, which was a history lesson, and maybe I'm the only one interested in it, but I had a lot of fun.
I also had a lot of fun.
Thank you. And go watch that YouTube video that's 2 minutes long, and Paul Adiero tells you all about the Missouri Compromise. He's good.
He's good.
And you know what? Fuck it. Go ahead and buy Shit Rough Drafts. I'm gonna link that too, because it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
The premise of Shit Rough Drafts is that famous, like, movies or books or manuscripts or like titles of books are printed out, and an editor has gone through with a red pen to like make notes, and it's really funny. That's the premise of Shit Rough Drafts. It was like there's a first draft of everything.
Yeah, it's like it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, but it's the earlier draft where it was like, it was kind of good, but it was also kind of not good, almost bad, but not quite there.
And then the editor notes of like, too long.
Bad?
Tighten that up.
This could be better.
It's really fun. It was just one of those BuzzFeed, like Tumblr, like, you know, clickbait things that he had been doing for a while that he got a book deal for. And honestly, no, but like he deserved it. He was a really funny and nice person. R.I.P. He's not dead. Okay. With that, go on all of our socials, rate and review this podcast, and join us on Discord by joining the Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we will talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. What happened today? You're the only one who left the house. Essentially, I went to the mailbox.
Wow.
I wouldn't brag, though.
You. Oh my God. I was walking into work today, and a man was walking his dog near where I work.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Good morning." And I said, "Good morning." But while
Classic.
I was saying good morning,
Yeah.
he was finishing his sentence, which was, "Good morning, Red."
Oh.
And I regretted saying good morning.
Huh. One time when I was at Target, when I was working at Target, I wasn't just at Target. I mean, I was both. I was standing outside waiting for a car to pass so that I could go across with the drive-up stuff. And the car slowed down, and a man rolled down his window and said, "You look so pretty today." And he said it like he was like a dad, like he was like my dad, like a 60-year-old, like heavyset man. He seemed like he was just being like, "Everybody likes compliments. You look very pretty today." And then he goes, "You look like Pocahontas. Look at those braids. Ay, 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 ay." And then he sped away.
No!
And I was like, what the fuck just happened? That has never happened to... What the hell just happened to me?
Good God.
I was wearing 2 braids, so I guess that was my fault.
Yeah, you deserve to be yo-yo-lated at.
That's 100% what happened. Anyway, it was wild. Sometimes I just think about that man. I wonder, what's his life like? Bad, hopefully.
Hopefully. Hopefully bad.
Don't do that.